Hey Internet, this is Sky, and today we'll be having a chill Stormworks session, and I plan to build a muscle car. So I have some procrastination games that I'm not filming, right? One of those has been My Winter Car, and in that game you're basically building a hobby car called the Corris Rivett, which is like a sort of a 70s, early 80s muscle car um, based off of the Ford Taunus, which was a European car. But I kind of want to build something like that. So I'm doing something a bit different. I'm going to start off with a chassis of just like what I want the car to look like. And I'm going to connect the wheels to it first. So I tried to make the car about this size, but then I realized it was comically large for the size of wheels I want to use. And it's probably just be pretty big in game, so I'm gonna have to redo it. So I've just been thinking about how I'm going to fit the radiator into this really compact design, and I think I've got it. I do want to make fenders. I I just realized how silly my design was so far. Um, but yeah, no, designing cars in this game is definitely a challenge. Actually, I think I want to have a um make it look like a sort of like canopy soft top. I also want to paint the interior too. So I think that's the painting done for me, and I really like the way that this thing has turned out visually. But I didn't even finish the bumper. But there is also the small detail of the logistics that still needs sorting out, and I want this car to have a relatively advanced um like transmission compared to my other designs. So that is going to require some tinkering to bring about. Sorry, I just have to really perfect the paint. Okay, so first order of business is installing some gearboxes. I think I want to have 2 gears dedicated to changing the way it goes forward, and then, a reverse gear. The color shouldn't matter because it should be under the road. Or under the center console, I should say. Actually, so the way the gearboxes in this game work mean that that wouldn't actually work, but I could have like a high mode, and then a second gear mode, and then of course a reverse. So it'd sort of be like a tractor, but that's okay for me. I accidentally forgot to finish making the engine. That'd probably interfere with my logistics for the automatic transmission. Or not automatic, but I also want to have like a start system too. But no, not finishing the engine would definitely interfere with that. I'm pretty sure I'm set now, besides I messed up the paint job by fixing the door hinges. But I'm also worried that I messed up the fuel somehow. But it does not look like I have. That's awesome. I'm gonna reset the controls to be sticky and then fix the paint job real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and did that, and now I have a fully functional car because I also hooked up the steering wheel. But there is one last touch I need to put on it, and that is I want the key, or rather I want the start system to like turn on the starter if I ever get below 10 RPS, so I don't lose velocity entirely. But above 10 RPS, I want it to turn off the engine starter, so that way it isn't triggering unnecessarily. So that was a pretty successful first test drive. Um, I'm happy with what I accomplished. I want to add some more finishing touches, like that part about the key that I mentioned, and the headlights, and then I think I'll be ready to take it for my final test drive. So this is my first test drive just with the bikes. Hopefully being able to see the road means that I can get a little bit farther. I want to try to make it to the mainland island, which is a bit of a drive, but I can make. So overall, this is actually one of the easiest to control cars engine-wise. However, like traction-wise, these wheels slip all the time, and it's kind of terrible. I mean, I guess that's what I get for the rear wheel drive realism, but yeah, I kind of wish it wasn't that. You know, I kind of wish I didn't have to put it on the rear wheel drive. It's really interesting. Maybe I should put GPS in this car because right now it's stuck in the middle of the forest. But GPS would also be terrible to carry and I need to learn like Lua or something. I know what you said. So as I'm making this, I'm keeping in mind that this probably isn't going to work exactly because I'm using a key button, and so I probably need to switch that to a push button eventually if I want this kind of thing to work. Which is an easy enough fix, but you know, I'll still probably have to, you know, make it at some point. So this is the simplest version, which honestly probably didn't even need a microcontroller, but I have no clue if this is gonna work. So yeah, I think what's gonna happen is as soon as I spawn in, yeah, the engine starts, which is not what I want to do. So I'll have to incorporate something into this. I think this was my original plan where the starter's activation is only like an external effect. But I think I'll still have the same problem with automatically starting the vehicle. Yeah, and as soon as I turn it off, it starts again. So I have to somehow make this only start when when I've already pressed the start button. Okay, so this is the next version I came up with. So what's happening here is when this switch box is off, then this greater than will basically be null and it will give an off signal because 11 is greater than 10, and so A is not greater than B, which makes this false and therefore an off signal. But when I turn on this switch box by pressing the key, which I'm going to connect to this input, then that will make the true RPS the driver of the constant number and whether or not the starter is activated. So this should solve my problems. I was thinking about making an all-wheel drive, but with the gearboxes, that wouldn't work at all. So because there's not much left I can do, I think that's gonna be it for today. I'm proud of the car I built, and so I'm gonna save it in just a second here once I fix the door. Why is this door broken? Right, and I also needed to connect the steering. Anyways, I built a car and it works. And I'm proud that it works and it has cool logic. So I have to say today is a successful day. Um, this has been Sky, and I'll see you next time. Bye.